And we are live on YouTube. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Innerstanding Spirituality Show. I'm your host, Aloise Surfleet Middleton, creator of the Dharmalife Academy and host of the Dharmalife podcast. And I am lucky enough to be here eventually with my two standing co-hosts and guests, the amazing Josh X, all the way from Portugal. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you very much.
And the incredible Charlie Freak, all the way from deepest, darkest Mexico.
Where it's always the sun is shining, so I'm not sure where the dark comes from, because it's literally almost always.
Now you're just making me jealous, because believe me, where I live, the sun does not always shine.
Yeah.
So welcome, everyone. So every week we are simplifying spirituality. We are going through the 7 alchemical levels. And tonight we are looking at fermentation, the rebirth, the inner work, becoming our authentic selves. And remember that this is your show. So it's really important that you guys ask as many questions. I'll have the video live on my phone. So if there's any questions that come up, we will answer as many as we can in the chat. We've got 2 guests coming on live this evening as well to ask some questions. And really, this is all about you guys understanding spiritual alchemy and embracing the gold within. You know, it's all about us learning of our soul and its purpose and really stepping into our divinity. So if you're watching out there, I'd really appreciate it. We're just going to get a few guys coming on. Good evening, Richard. Good evening, Brent. I've got a few people coming on. So please, by all means, if you'd be so kind to share this in some groups, you could share it on the thread. I know Colleen's put it on hers. I know I put it on mine. So if there's any Dharma Academy peeps out there, if you could do me a favor and share this video, I would really, really appreciate it. So Charlie, if it's okay, I'd like for you to do your usual update on the situation out in the world, please. Like, I've been getting some incredible bits of information, people sending me information about the 17 countries about it to be liberated. So I don't know if you know anything about this by General Flynn. I'd love to get your input into that, please, and why the UK is not on the list was the other thing I'd be really keen to know why. But yeah, could you give us an update on what is happening out in the world, please?
Yeah, you bet. There's so much that's going on, and it's all happening within the United States first, and then it's emerging. It's an emergent property, and it's spreading outwards. And then what people are going to find is that they are supported, because again, what we've shared with everyone before is that there are shadow governments that have been running the day-to-day affairs of each of these countries. I mean, for the longest time, let's face it, these politicians haven't been doing anything other than just playing horrific public roles. They're not the policymakers at all. They never have been. Just a full understanding of the EU and the role of the finance ministers and how they were completely controlled by this shadowy group that had layers upon layers in Brussels, was, so disturbing. And so this has gone on for a long time, that the actual politicians are not in control. So, people are all in Great Britain, people are all so upset with Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson. But I mean, they're just bad actors, and literally bad actors. And they are. They're you think you're electing a political party. There's no such thing. You're electing puppets. Actors. That's all this is. This is just Hollywood East. It's Hollywood on a circuit stage, and they travel the 200 countries of the world. So none of this is real. And so all that's been happening is that there are key people within key areas of both the military, used to be the military, and within things like police forces. And of course, who are these key people? They're Freemasons, right? That's why I said that such a key is to watch the is to watch the movie that was written by Simon Pegg and his writing partner and director Edgar Wright, and the second part of that trilogy that they made, and it's called Hot Fuzz, and it was about the life of Nicholas Angel. Nicholas Angel. And every single scene, I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's an absolute, it's a decoder's dream, because every single scene, every single image, every single name, every single number is powerfully chosen, and they're all interconnected. And it's telling you the truth. They're showing you in plain sight who runs things and how it's all being done. And it's Freemasons in key positions. And remember, as Josh teaches, this is, once again, you have to operate with a holistic mind frame, because if you don't, you're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and that is a massive tragedy and great grave danger as well. Freemasonry is keeping alive the teachings of the true Son of Men. So there's nothing bad or evil about Freemasonry. It is the truth of truth. Once you pass Yakim and Boaz, the two temples of the two serpents of the caduceus, once you pass the two temples, what follows must be the truth, which is why they allow very few people into the temple, and those who are initiates are blindfolded, because until you prove to them, at least that's how it worked in the beginning, until you prove to them that you are capable of handling this truth of truths. I mean, I read 7 pages of truth on the show last week, and we just haven't stopped having emails in response to those pages that have just blown people away. This is what's awaiting you inside your twin temples. The Solomon's temple in the Bible is you. The Bible should be renamed to Enter Your Name Here. You are every single character in the Bible. So Freemasonry was just hijacked because the cabal, these 13 Phoenician families, and by the way, people ask all the time, Charlie, why do they all have Italian sounding names? Because this is what rodents do when they come into the light of day. Because they know that they're specious, because they know that they're false and that they're liars, they're always afraid that people are onto them and onto their game. So they always exist in subterfuge, right? A thief is always worried about being robbed. A liar is always being worried about being lied to. A righteous man simply accepts all as being righteous and is surprised and shocked when they encounter some different experience. That's how Josh and I are. We'll always give everyone the benefit of the doubt, always, because we always expect everyone to be honest, to be authentic, because
like
that's
you are.
we are. Yeah, exactly. That's and you are. And so we just expect that of others. Why would there be any other way? And then you realize, of course, because we've lived a lie. And so Freemasonry, and that's what they showed in the movie Hot Fuzz, is that it doesn't take, people always go, this is such a big fakery. There's just no way that this can be real, because how many people are in on it? Very few. All it takes is for one person in the London Metropolitan Police Force to say, you do it this way or you're out of the job, right? It's fake money.
And it's the top, isn't it? The very top.
And that's right. And that's all you need. And look at who they had playing that role, who that person, what his name was, and look at the exchanges he had with Pure Sergeant Nicholas Angel, who was just doing what was right and ran into roadblocks all the way. It's how organized society is. The meritorious creation of those with great talent and passion, they are pushed away and hidden away. And that's not what Freemasonry was all about. Freemasonry was to create meretriciousness. That's what Freemasonry is. That's why the temples are persona non grata, or grotto, persona non grotto, the cave, to those people who are not ready to enter within. So it is meretricious. It's just the cabal, these rats that have come along and they hijacked it, because with Freemasons, they're all so passionate about rising up the spine, up the 33 degrees of Freemasonry. And of course, this is just, you know, the story of Jesus Christ, which we are. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, we are. So with what's going on in the world right now, please just know that if you stand up for yourself, you will receive help, because there is a Q team appointed hidden group that is essentially running the day-to-day affairs of each of these countries, ensuring that basic things are occurring. Now, the evil stuff that's running out is coming from the lips and the tongues of, say, Matt Hancock and Boris Johnson. That's because they're just being allowed to play their role for the last few breaths before their breaths are taken away. And that's just because we have to show you the fullness and the evil, the depths of the evil of this.
Well, it's
planet.
waking more people up, isn't it? The fact
it is.
It gets more and more ridiculous.
Yeah, look at these people in Canada. I'm Canadian, and you know, again, we're very, very honest, integral individuals, but we also are pretty easily kowtowed to authority as well. We just don't want trouble, and so we'll typically do the wrong thing to avoid trouble. And what's come out in Canada in the last 6 weeks is worse than any other country in the world, and there's excuse me. And there's a reason for that. And that's because Canadians have to wake up. If we are going to go anywhere, do anything, then we have to arise. You have to get off your knees. Man is electrical. Man and woman are electrical, which are downward causation. So we're naturally going to fall. It's what we do, but it's the mother that raises us back up. So once again, there was another great article, Aloise, that was written last night and was shared out with a whole bunch of people. And I responded with a whole bunch of examples of that. You're one of them, of how there are so many beautiful, incredible, powerful woman, feminine voices that are leading the truth community right now, and they're the biggest supporters of Donald Trump. The biggest word. And so many of the men in the truth community, they can't stand Donald Trump, and they go out of their way to make you hate Donald Trump. Where's the righteousness in that? Where's the righteousness in trying to force someone else to follow your belief, whether you think it's right or wrong? That's very, very evil. And with all of the beautiful feminine souls that are within the truth community, you're opening up to Donald Trump. You're opening up to the Q team, the Q movement. You're opening up to this revolution of the mind. And the men within the truth community are just blinded by the light.
I just stay open, and then I feel into everything that I get see and gets presented to me, and then I discern from there what feels right for me, and then I know my power in creating my reality, you know, so I focus on what I want to happen and stay in that lane.
Yeah. And the incredible thing, Aloise, is that Donald Trump is just that kind of person, both on an individual level and in terms of this entire Q movement. It works this way. If you stand up for yourself, you will be protected. You will be helped. You will be aided. Remember on the 5th of November in Great Britain, in particular, London, all the assistance that came out of nowhere that day to allow protesters to be able to achieve as much as they achieved on the 5th of November in Great Britain, in particular within London. You will be supported if you stand up for yourself. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. And that's what they're just basically trying to show you. There is a chasm right now. We are on the wrong side of things. We have to get to the right side. There's a chasm. It's so dark.
They work for us, not the other way around. You know, this is the thing that we need to remember, they need to remember, is that they work for us. not the other way around.
That's
They
right.
work for the people.
That's right. And basically, what the Trump team and the Trump team, Q team, are basically saying and doing is this: that you have to willingly cross that bridge. It's a leap of faith. It's an act of faith and trust, which is that key word. That there is something better awaiting you, or that you are and will be delivered if you stand up for yourself. God is the God of the living, not of the dead. And when you take that step in the chasm of darkness, not knowing what is ahead of you, you'll always be saved. You'll always be aided in these steps in the dark to find the light, because that's the basic nature of everything. So what's going on in the world, Aloise, is real. It's righteous, and every country that does this will be supported. And the point that I want to make today with everyone, and this is a big show that I'm going to do with a live show on Wednesday night with Galactic Greg. And that's this is there is a Christmas, but there's a concern about where we are in terms of the seasons and where we are within ourselves. This is the great fall of man. And there needs to be some reprieve, okay? And President Trump is well aware of this, and there is a plan to aid people everywhere. Well, obviously we'll start first in the United States, but it needs to be everywhere. And so they have to act quickly. So there are things that are happening now, like with this Release the Kraken.
Can you explain that for me?
Well, what they said when they released it is that this particular Kraken has 13 tentacles, and that's one for each of the 13 Phoenician families. This is the 13 unholy families that have been ruling things from behind the scenes. These are the Canaanites, and we are the children of Abel, and we must rise again. And so so basically this is and so they're saying that this is biblical. You need to think this biblical. It is, because at the beginning of the Bible is the Old Testament. The Old Testament is all about, after the separation of the masculine spirit or energy of life and the feminine spirit of life, Adam and Eve, 6 and 9, again, male and female, but we're the same. We're just different, but we're the same, but we're just different, but we're the same. And their children are Cain and Abel. And that is so showing you the wholeness of our creation. So we are both masculine and feminine, and we're just here in this moment to play a particular role of masculinity or femininity. But it's the balance between that. That's why the 6 and the 9 look like this, and that's why they connect like this. And so that same thing applies to their children, which is the left brain and the right brain. So Cain and Canaanites are of the left brain, and Abel, who is able to follow the path of God, is of the right hemisphere of the brain, which is where God is, the mother is, Jesus Christ is, Santa Claus. They're all here in the right brain. Nobody except the tapeworm, the ego, is in the left brain. Therein lies the problem. So that's the teaching in the Bible of the duality of our reality, and that we must therefore cast our nets to the right, because if you stay in the left, Cain killed Abel, and that wasn't enough. Cain didn't just kill Abel, he ate Abel, and cannibal is Cain eating Abel. Cannibal is cannibal. So this is what will happen. The killing floor is the left brain, and there's no bottom. It's a bottomless pit. This is where the expression comes from. The left brain is a bottomless pit. It will allow you to fall as far as you need to fall before you decide to, this is enough, and I'm going to resurrect and rise. And remember, everything about the Bible are the letters R-E. Everything about the Bible is renew, resurrect, regenerate. It's all about the because everything was created in the moment that creation existed. There's nothing new under the sun. We've all been here before. We've all been here from the beginning. We're just playing these roles again and again and again and again and again. And you choose the catfish is jumping up and to the right, or the paddle wheel thumping down to the left. It's your choice every day. Cain, Abel, and the demons that have ruled over us are the Canaanites, these 13 families, and the Kraken is to crack down. That's why crack down
Mm-hmm.
upon these 13 Kabbalistic families, which are already taken out. But it's President Trump is essentially saying to everyone within his group, the Q team, it happens now. No more delays. It happens now. We have to move now, because what's coming, everyone, is a massive show of faith, a massive give back to you. It's yours. It's our sweat equity. And it's our intellectual property that they have robbed us for 100 years. So all this money, all these resources, all this technology, such as the med beds and these underground cities and this transportation network that we never get to see. But New York to London in 20 minutes is happening right now underneath the Atlantic. And it's all magnetic technology, and it's all been hidden from us. So it's all yours. And so President Trump is saying, if he's saying to his team, we have to act fast. I have to be back in power, and I have to be able to control the House, the Senate, and the presidency 3-0 to be able to now unroll the first of this manna from heaven in the physical form. And that's going to be this Christmas cheer, this Yule tide that has to rise and has to be given. Because if it doesn't, we are going to see in the wee days and weeks of January, we could literally see a catastrophe on our hands, with literally tens of thousands committing suicide and succumbing to the depths, because we are in the fall of man. And that would be a terrible tragedy, because we are headed towards the highest spring back to life ever created before, and that's this coming spring. So there's so much going on right now behind the scenes, in the sky, within us, the macro and the micro. So that President Trump has to act now, and he knows this. He has said, release the Kraken. And a quick note to everyone about Sidney Powell. She's not part of Trump's legal team. She's never worked for Trump's legal team. I can let you in on something. She has been hired. She was hired back in 2017 by the military, and her job has been uniquely to do a full investigation into the specious 3-letter entities within the United States government: CIA, FBI, the DOJ, all of them. And so it has been her job to get to the bottom of the depths of their depravity. And that's, by the way, it's why when she speaks, she kind of sounds like she's almost vibrating at times, because she's so sickened and disgusted by all the things that she has learned and that she has seen. So she is not part of the Trump team. So when they say, she's being, it appears she's being kicked off or pushed off. No, she was never part of the Trump team. It's just with the election fraud, it's just that those two worlds united for that moment to come together. But she's on a separate mission through the military, and she is the Kraken. Her team is the Kraken, and they're going to crack down on all of this. And the reason, again, is this: there has to be an economic jubilee this Christmas. There has to be good cheer and goodwill towards all men. There has to be a Yuletide season this year, or else there's so much happening above and within us, and we have to give people even just the tiniest fragment of hope to go, okay, patience.
And what do you think that looks like? What does that actually look like?
It's going to be a rollout, a partial rollout of Nasara, but it can't be the whole. It can't be the wholeness, because they're not ready to do that just yet. But there's going to be some things that are going to happen. So there's going to be money put back into people's hands. There are going to be more restrictions taken away, and the COVID thing is going to be taken away. They know this at this point, that the COVID thing has now gone as far as it can as a scare tactic, and at this point, it's just only causing harm. It all has to end. All of this has to start changing, and now. And
this again, just something I got sent today about General Flynn leading 17 nations in a restoration of human rights into a coalition. Do you know much about anything about that? Because obviously, there was some Canada, Australia, the US, Russia, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Denmark, France, Spain, Croatia, Romania, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Switzerland, North Korea, but no UK. So I'm just curious.
The UK is absolutely part of that, but there's the reason that they're not part of this group of 17, which is Q.
Of course, Q, yeah.
Is because there's a separate plan for the UK. The UK has been a massive player in all of the last 1,000 years of mankind's true history. They played a massive role. So America has a very unique role to play. Great Britain has a very unique role to play. The Commonwealth has a unique role to play, and then there are some other key nation states also. But this is an earth-wide movement. It includes everyone. It's just that Britain not being part of this means that there is another scripted plan for Britain, and you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to look like a revolution in Britain, because it needs to. And it won't be violent, and it's not going to be bloody, but it is going to be angry in the beginning as people stand up against this tyranny. And then you're going to see some amazing things happen. And then you're going to literally see, like in those last moments of V for Vendetta, the movie, you're going to see a whole bunch of British citizens looking around going, wow, we control the Parliament building. What should we do now? Okay, well, why don't we start by helping people? And that's where it's going to start.
Amazing.
And
and we're seeing we're seeing the first signs of it here. People challenging the police, staying open under the common law. And then obviously the police trying to come in and arrest them. They can't arrest them. And so they're actually, pretending to almost arrest them and then letting them go, because obviously it's not actually law, COVID. So we are seeing the first signs of that. And there are lots of protests happening, as well. Obviously not being televised, but this is all on, social media, but definitely seeing people standing up, which is perfect. So let's come on to the 7 alchemical levels. So, the reason that Charlie, Josh, and I really wanted to talk about the 7 alchemical levels is this is the real work. Humanity's been distracted into thinking that consumerism and materialism is the way forward. We've all been told if you get more money, it's the solution to every problem through our subliminal messaging, through TV, through advertising, through films. And of course, it's not true. We've been taken out of our spiritual journey and put into our left brain. And so when we look at the 7 alchemical levels, this is how we progress on the spiritual path, and obviously the new age as well has distracted us from really doing the inner true work. So one of the reasons that we really wanted to go through each level and really kind of break things down was so people get an understanding of what they're going to be going through, as they commit to this spiritual evolutional path, and all I can say is it's the most rewarding, fantastic thing that I have ever done. And I have to say that it's, taken my life from drug, alcohol problems and nervous breakdown to one where I get to just be in awe at being alive at this time on earth. So this week we are talking about fermentation. So Josh, you've been very quiet. You've been very so I'd love, because obviously, the way that fermentation is described is like a rebirth, the inner work, the death of our old thoughts and patterns and beliefs. So really kind of stepping into this new authentic version of ourselves, which I know a lot of people listening are, are experiencing this themselves. They've woken up so much, they've been doing the work. So can you just speak to that for me for a little bit, please?
Yeah, I would say if you look at phonetically, the word ferment is like a firm mind. And what you've done is you've crossed the barrier of being a personification and the ideology that you are the only thing that is in existence is the physical part of your aspects, and moving over to a space of the observer. And to walk into the space of observing life is to be free from all judgment, thought processes, and things such as this, which allow your mind to be in peace. So as you progress through your spiritual journey, the main thing that fermentation would be pointing would be the fact that You are now out of the space of thought processes and identification with material objects. And this is what separates you and really keeps you into a material world. And then you're now observing life. For example, this pen. It is not a pen, and there is no spoon. So when you can come to the space that there is no pen or there is no spoon, it just is what it is. And there's no labeling of anything. Your consciousness shifts into the observer. And the observer is a very powerful space. This is Buddha. But one can get trapped in trying to find the observer. And the observer cannot be observed. And the perceiver cannot be perceived. You are the perceiver and you are the observer. Disconnect from thought and you'll find yourself growing towards fermentation.
So in another way of putting that would be being in the moment, like being fully present without being. Okay.
A human being is a dual-edged sword, because most people are humans thinking. And to be a human being is to be present and ever present. And we've been given the verbal and the written technology to take us from that space to create the dual mind. So really, if one can just sit in silence and be still and observe life without judgment, it's a great gift and it's a great experience. And then the technologies that our body has within inside these dimensions are limitless. And then the capabilities can be unlocked. And again, the capabilities are the capped abilities, and the abilities of the bi-light. And the bi-lights come from the torus field, which is a fully reciprocating torus. And this is why Charlie earlier was saying like religion and reunion. The R and the E, you cannot get the R-E without the A and the E working together to become the R. Now the R is the 18, which is a fully reciprocating torus with an inertial plane. And then these A and E are two sides. A is the alpha, the red shift, and E is the blue shift of this torus. So it's all about you becoming whole again, because you've been separate from source.
Nice. So human being rather than human doing.
That's it.
Anything you want to add, Charlie? Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely perfect, as always, Josh. And so basically what Josh, the big key that Josh gave you there again, it is this E and A, or the A and the E. That's why when I spell ether, I always spell it the true way, the ancient way, which is AETHER. And again, in those letters, look at all those letters and what they stand for. And so Josh is saying, you know, the ER or the RE is so very, very important for this transmutation to a firm mind, to a firm existence, to a firm reality. But before you get there, you have to get these essential building blocks in order. So again, the A is the Father. The E is the ether, the existence within this the physical plane. So you have the Father and the Mother built in. That's why Ea, Ea is that goddess of water in the Persian tradition of Zoroaster. So and so look at these letters again. The T, which is the physical plane, which is the fourfold nature of man, the physicality of our material plane of existence. And then the H is so necessary because that is the breath of God. That is the breath of life. That is the impetus to give animation to the physical creation. So that's why you always have the T and the H together. The T and the H are so important because if you don't have the H, there is no animation to the T. So just look at all the words, the great words that exist that are TH, whether at the beginning or at the end. TH, or you work the C in there as well, right? So the CTH, which is, the chalice, the cup of Christ, which is the child within the physical form with the breath of God. So until we get the E and the A and the T and the H in balance, in unification, then we're going to have real problems with the R and the E, or the E and the R. And so again, just look at these words: earth, hearth. These are all these key, heart. They're all anagrams of one another, and they're all telling you the same story. So this process of fermentation is the process of doing the work to cross the river. This is the river right here. So when they talk about this is the river of life that flows within you, and it is the divide between the gift of God, which is the infinite right hemisphere of the brain, and then this dime electrical circuit of hell upon earth. It's your choice. And the fermentation is that it takes a firm hand and a firm mind to have the resolve to cross the river. And remember, there is a ferryman, and he has to be paid, and the fee is 10%, but that 10% is not money, it's your left brain. When you cross over, crucifixion, cruci is cross, that's in Latin, cross is cruci. The crucifixion is the crossing over, and the fee is your left brain. And it is saying, I am so done being a fool. I'm not doing this anymore. And that's all that I did. That's all that I did. It took the humility to say, with 3 university degrees, it took the humility to say, wow, I'm an idiot, and I don't want to be an idiot anymore. What do I do? There has to be a different way. And then it's through reading and coming to these connections, basically through, ultimately through the teachings of Krishna and Buddha, before I really could understand the Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ, which are spectacular in the New Testament of the Bible. That's basically what they're saying. You have to trust, and you have to cross the river in a leap of faith, and ye shall be delivered. And so that's what this fermentation is. Like Josh is saying, it takes a firm hand and a firm gaze and a firm mind to be able to cross over and to reach the nation, the real nation of God.
Crossing the abyss. And again, I just wanted to add one thing to the word ether. As I was saying earlier, the A and the E, you need them both to make the R. And then Charlie said the word ether. If you look at the word ether, it's A-E, the R. And it says it within the word. So these how powerful the words are. A-E, the R. And this is very important to know. And this is why I did a video on the A and the E, because they're key to understand. But again, as Charlie was saying, T and H, I wrote a few words down just for an example. I could get a whiteboard and draw, which would make it clearer. But for now, if we can just try to see the word this, T, physical, H, a vibration, I, conscious, S, sine wave. This is a physical vibration of consciousness sine wave, and that's what it is. The, T-H-E, a physical vibration from the ether. That physical vibration of the alpha physical. That then is the with an N, which represents end. So it's a physical vibration from the ether that has ended. Now then is because it's gone, it's previous, and it's past. And this is how important the words are. Looking at the word R, what are we? A-E-R. A-R-E. And this is what we are. We are alpha and ether, with a full magnetic sine wave to be true, and this is who we truly are. Powerful words, powerful spells, powerful language.
Wow, never knew that. That's amazing.
Yeah, and Aloise, if I quickly jump in here for a sec to build on what Josh just said, you know, again, our alphabet is genius beyond description, and there's a reason why the Mother Mary magnetism is in the middle. No coincidence that the word middle starts with an M. It has to, and you just look at all the other letters in it as well. But M is 13 of 26. It is the middle way. It is the middle path. This is what the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught so beautifully and famously that you cannot come to know the Father until you first learn of the Mother and treat the Mother with great reverence. And then Buddha went on to say that what is the Mother? She's pure truth, because she is the purity of God's creation. So God had a plan, an idea in the beginning, and he said, let it be. and that became the earth. And the purity of the earth is this pure, the creation of the purity of his thought, which then exists in the mother, who is the guardian of this physical creation of the earth. That's why she's Mother Earth. And this is why in what I read last week through the teachings of Jesus Christ, is that unless you treat the mother with the same level of respect, obedience, and connection and deep love and reverence as the Father, then you shall never ever get to the Father, because this Jesus, remember, Jesus is Zeus, is Jupiter and Zeus. Zeus in our tradition is Saturn. So Zeus is the son of Jupiter. So Jupiter is the sun, the purity of God's light, God's creation. So Jupiter and Zeus is the Father and the Son, is God and Jesus Christ. And so that's where Jesus comes from, is Zeus. And so to become Zeus, we have to be able to have the Father, the prodigal son, return back home, stop his meanderings and his wanderings, his aimless ways, and follow that path that is straight and narrow to the Father. But you can't get there because we're electrical causations, which are constantly falling down. So we need the mother. Look at that. Bring it down just a little bit, Josh.
That's it.
Yeah. E as I see, the here, Z is us. That's right. It totally is.
So explain that, Josh. Or you're on mute, Josh.
Sorry. So just for example, the word basic is be as I see. Yeah.
Be as I see.
And you can't get more basic than what you're observing. And this is the basics of existence. If you see the word there, it actually says T, which is a physical, then here. So the physical is here, there. And also here is he, R-E. So to be here is where he's rightfully establishing. And then these break down individually into individual letters, but we won't take it too far. And then you can see with the word Zeus, Z is the Zion, the Z-ion. This is the wave of the righteous, the wave of the right side. This is the A, the alpha wave, and this is Z. And this wave here is the scalar wave that our wonderful friend was talking about, Tesla. But Zeus is truly the Z, ether, Q, sine wave. And this is why Jesus is a part of our experience here. And there's no mistaking with any word that contains the letter Z. For example, the Z, ion, this is the true holy place. When your energetic field converts to the Z, this is why it's A to Z, and the ionic structure is then a fully reciprocating torus from the A and the E. This is alpha to omega. This is alpha connected to the ether.
I can't wait till this stuff is taught in schools.
Exactly, Alois, because when this is the building blocks of kindergarten or whatever, then these kids, by the time, it's just like if you knew Josh's son,
yeah,
he's the shining light of this world. My goodness, you look at their son, and you say to yourself, what will this little breath of light and genius be like in another 5 years, let alone another 10 years? So yeah, free my son is Freemason, and that is the journey of man.
This is the mother, and this is the son, and each son, the brain says B Ra in. Now that means B is 2, secondary. Ra is as 2 sons. You need to free the mother's son, which is the right shift, the blue shift, and this creates our fully reciprocating magnetic torus field. We are activated beings, activate. How do you activate? 8 is to climate. This is the climate change that we're all going through right now. Our systems have chakras and energy points inside of them, but without the flowing of energy here, we cannot progress spiritually, and we cannot connect to the true nature that we exist here unless we do the work, and we can find ourselves connecting to the higher field of energy, which allows then our system to be activate. And that means we are now in a full vibration.
I think that's the
That's right.
thing that I wish more people would really realize. You can't skip this. You can't jump this. You know, this
That's
is
right.
crucial. So it's really important that all of us are doing the inner work, because it's how it reflected back to us on the planet.
Yeah. Alois, what I was going to inject before, and I'll just complete here, is that when you get, so it's like A to am is to become I am, is to become, is to know yourself, is that first half of the journey. And then the second half of the journey, it's like the book again that Josh and I are writing. It writes itself, and it's like it's downhill. And it just goes so fast that when you get through this beginning introduction to the characters A, B, C, and then the fourfold nature of man, D, and then this purpose of E, and then the form of the matter in F, and then you just, every letter past F is a revelation in and of itself and unto itself. And as you get to M, that's A to M, that's the M. The A to M of the story of the English alphabet is the story of who you are. Once you know who you are at the M, by connecting with the moving mother, magnetism Mary, in the middle, then everything after that, it just goes at such a rate, it's staggering. So remember what we were saying to you is that every single letter is in a position that relates to every other letter. Like, it's just genius beyond description. So N has to be after M. So we're so excited to become the M at the middle way, which is 13 of 26, the letter M, 13 of 26. So then we're so excited to discover ourselves that we want to do it all right away. And that's okay, because we're so filled with passion again after being dumbed down and stupefied for so long. And so at the end is, and Colleen ordered our whiteboard, so it's coming. So I'm going to be there with Josh too. So the end, just look at the end, and it's the R, except it can't sustain itself up into the right in heaven, and it falls. And there's nothing wrong with that, because you tried. It's just that you had the wrong light. The story's not finished yet. So then O has a purpose. P has a purpose. Q has a purpose. R. Every letter is so key. So when we get to the middle of the story, M, with the mother, we go, oh my God, I get who I am, and I get what I'm here to do. So it's like, I'm doing this. I'm going to see the Father right now. I'm doing it. And that's N, which is up and to the right, but I can't sustain it, and I fell. And you go, oh, why did I fail? Oh, the letter O comes after N, because that's what you have to do. You have to go, oh, I thought I was going to make it. Why did I fail? And then you go, oh my God, it's because I'm the light of the world. That's showing me the sun out there, the light out there is showing me that I'm the light of the world. I had the wrong light. Oh my God. Oh, what's the right light? P. What's P? P is photon, photonic light, the light of God that is within the darkness and shines out. All life is emergent in its nature.
And this is why we live on a plane, because it's P, lane. It's a light lane, and a planet is a light lane in a physical.
Exactly. Know your language. Somebody said to me the other day, Charlie, you're so full of this because, you talked the other day about planets. You're all flat earth, and then you mentioned planets. And then in just utter love, I just said, but do you understand the word planet and what it means? The P lane of the physical, P lane T. It tells you everything. So P is photon. So you go, N, I failed. Why? Oh, it's because I need P. N-O-P. Nope. It's not the right way. Nope. N-O-P. And then you go, oh, it's the light within me. P, photon, is the light. Oh, I get it now. And then it's Q. So why would Q come before the R? Because R is the rising, right? We tried to rise in the end, but we failed. So we're almost at the R. But there's a Q that comes first. And the Q is, that's right. And go back to the Phoenicians. themselves. The letter Q in the teachings of Phoenicia is that it is the great balancer of two worlds. It's the zero and the one. The masculine and the feminine, the father and the mother, the left and the right, the red shift and the blue shift, the red path, the blue path, heaven and hell. It is the unification of those two worlds. I have to balance myself by becoming my own light. See, there's a light out there, but that's not enough, because it's my journey, it's my story, and I have to become the light, which is photonic light. So then Q symbolizes this frequency. And
Q and C.
That's right. And by the way, we'll get into this another show, but the CY, there are very few words that start with C and Y, and they have been taken from us. There should be so many words that start with CY, because the C and the Y are so crucial. The C and the Y is the journey of man. The C is the cup of Christ, which is fallen and is empty and pointing to the right because it's looking empty to the Father in the east. See the letter C? Cymatics.
That's movement of the C and the Y.
Yeah. And so what is the Y? The Y is the C, but it's now, I've done the work and I know the story. I've gone on the journey, and now I'm ready to turn the C into a Y. And that is the risen man, who now is the cup of Christ upwards, and the top of our head is open. And every single day and every single night, the Big Dipper, the swastika, takes the manna from God and brings it right down to us in the night, because we are now the Y, which is the cup, to receive the gift of God. And so C is the beginning of our journey of man. C is the child, the cup, the chalice of Christ, but it's empty, facing east in longing for the Father. And Y is the straight, strong spine. And then both of our left path and our right path, the feminine and the masculine, in perfect balance and harmony, are completely open to receive all of the gifts of the Father. That's Jesus Christ, the Y, Jesus Christ, the Y. And look at the alphabet again. X, perfect balance. Y, I'm here, I've done it. And what have I done? I've returned home. Father, child, mother. Father, child, mother. The mark of Zorro, Z, the perfect balance in the union. That's why we're here. That's why these letters are in the order that they are. C and Y is such a powerful grouping because it's the journey of man. Why do you think there are so few words that start with C and Y? Because they hide it from us. Religion exists to entomb Jesus within us. Get it? Get it? Get it? Get it? The Bible is about releasing from the tomb and rising to heaven. What is religion there? To keep you locked in the tomb. They will not let the fornix roll back. You will stay stuck in the tomb, reading these dead words on dead pieces of paper, which are dead scriptures, and God is the God of the living. That means that I did a really great meme a couple of days ago, and it just showed the eye in the sky. And so the Bible is a portal to the pineal gland. That's why the Bible exists. The two bowls exist to show you the left and the right, the unification, the balance to get to there, which is the peak of the pyramid, which is the pineal gland, the all-seeing eye. And that's what the Bible's there for. The Bible is there to show you the way. It's not the way, it's to show you the way. And once you get to the pineal, then you have to do the rest. And so what I said in the meme was that the Bible is a portal to the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the portal to God. And that's it. That's it. The Bible says the words of Jesus Christ. That's an incredible video that I did, which is the takedown of organized religion from A to Z. It's had like 100,000 views. And it is so crucial because it's 26 key passages from Jesus Christ in the New Testament. And everything he says is, you have to go within in stillness and silence. You have to reach the pineal gland. If thine eye be single, thine whole body shall fill with the light. And it's that light that rolls back the fornix, reveals the final chamber of the third ventricle of the brain, which is the chamber of the bridegroom. And that's the alchemical marriage, the completion of this process between the father and the mother in the chamber of the bridegroom, bride and groom. And who's the witness is the best man. And the best man is he who makes this journey, which is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. And he leads the mother up the aisle. An aisle in a church is flat. So what the hell do they mean by up the aisle? Up the aisle is up the spine, Freemasonry, free the son, and only the mother can free the son to the father, and that's the Holy Trinity, Zed. Complete the story, Zed. Go ahead, Josh.
See, the best man would be the ether, sine wave, in the physical. And the words, every single word will be describing and giving you the holistic understanding of what you need to be doing, or the instruction. It's just like the word cymatic. Again, me and Charlie, we both have seen language in a way where they both merge together. So we have to share both technologies, but C is sight as well, because it represents seeing, and C and Y is a choice. Why? This is why we ask why, but it goes left and right. So to see the choice of the matics, now this is the movement, but if you look at the word matic, you'll see it's the ma, T is a physical, I see the sine wave. So any matics is movement. So movement is seeing the mother's physical sine wave. And this is what matics is. And again, as Charlie was saying, the cross is to see the full magnetism, R, void of these double sine waves. And this is why double is D-O-U-B-L-E. And this B-L-E is a part of the Bible. And within all of these descriptions, you'll find it's so key. And one other thing, just to give a slight bit of understanding, if I write free, it's not going to be very strong here, but free Mason is, how would you become free? F is matter. R-E is to rightfully establish to the ether. So to become free, one needs to establish their material matter with the ether. And this is how we become free. And then if you put the Mason, you'll see it's the MA, the mother, as in the matrix is that matrix, sun. And the sun is S on, which is the sine wave on, which is how we get projection here from light. It's perfect. Sine wave.
Yeah. And Josh, in the movie Matrix, as Josh well knows, what is the sacred last city of mankind? The bots have taken down everything else. The left brain has taken everything else down, and there's hidden beneath the waves is one city of mankind, righteousness left, and that is the city of Zion, Z-I-O-N, and that's it. That's it.
That is the only place. The Z.
Amazing. It's all out there, isn't it? It's just.
They know this stuff, Aloise. They don't teach it. They know it, but they don't teach it.
Mm. Thank you. That was brilliant, both of you. Really, really helpful explanation. So we have got a lady who's going to join us now, Laura. So I'm going to invite Laura to come into the meeting and ask her question. Laura's coming all the way from New York. She's
this stuff, Aloise. They don't teach it. They know it, but they don't teach it.
Oh, thank Laura. You might want to turn your.
Hey, Laura, how are you?
So we have got a lady who's going to join us now. Laura.
Do I need?
Yeah, just turn your if you're watching the show, just turn that off, and then you need to put your camera on, and then I've muted you. So when you're ready, just unmute yourself and pop your camera back on. And Laura, you have to turn your.
Okay.
Hey, Laura, how are you?
So we have got a lady who's going to join us now. So just turn the volume down, maybe, Laura. And try again with the camera and the muting.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
No worries. You're doing great.
Let's get my video going on here.
We want to see you, Laura, because A, you're gorgeous, and B, the background is amazing. Yes, there we go.
Okay, perfect.
Welcome,
Oh my God,
welcome.
you guys are so small, and there we go. Okay, I should know this. I used to host a podcast. I used to do this all the time. So why I'm having all this technical difficulty? Anyway, I'm so happy to be here, and I have so much appreciation for all of you. I feel like I know you because I see you almost every day, and I hear you. So it's just so I'm so grateful to be here.
Well, welcome.
My question is regarding vegetarianism, but specifically regarding vegetables. And I want to just give you a little backstory that I've been vegetarian, mostly vegetarian most of my life, and was brought up in a very progressively health conscious, so whole foods, not having the processed junk and whatever. And now I'm taking even more steps to get even more pure and refined. And coincidentally, I don't know if you guys have heard of this book or have read it, Man's Higher Consciousness. I'm in the middle of reading it, and it echoes everything that basically the two of you have been saying. And one of the things that I found really interesting was that he talks about how many vegetables are toxic and very detrimental to the body, which goes against what I think most people really believe is healthy eating, right? You eat fruits and vegetables and grains and nuts, and you've got it down. And he's basically saying that a lot of them, specifically potatoes, tomatoes, lettuce, spinach, onions, carrots, beets, are really what actually leads to, he calls it like the denigration of the body, or, how aging and the disease that we get. And I would love to know your views on this. And I think a lot of people would too, because we're always assuming, vegetables are probably one of the healthiest things you can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll quickly jump in, and then we'll let Josh run away with it, because Josh will explain it perfectly. But very, very quickly, remember, everything is about heaven, okay? And where's heaven? Well, we're told heaven is up in the white clouds, which are purity of the blue, Tiffany blue sky. So the whole point of existence for man and woman is to rise again. What's the only way that we can rise is if we become light. So light is the key. And remember, light is a holistic word, like the foods that you want to eat need to be holistic. So light means as opposed to darkness, but it also means opposed to heavy. And you cannot rise if your foods are in your uncles. Your uncles root you to Egypt, and Egypt is a metaphor for the left hemisphere of your brain. It is feeding the ego, which is dis-ease, because there's no balance in 10 to 90. That's the whole problem with the left brain. It's 10%. It's the dying brain. And that doesn't balance the 90% of God's kingdom within you, which is the right hemisphere of the brain. So unless you begin to look like the macrocosm above you, then you will not achieve Zion. You will not achieve this journey from M to Z. You're going to struggle ever just getting to M. And then that's that paddle wheel thumping on the left, and you do it again and again and again. Vegetables are heavy. I'm going to just transfer it over to Josh now, because he can do this perfectly. But vegetables are heavy. They're full of pulp. Fruit is pulpless for the most part. It is pure. It is light. Therefore, we have to become light, and we need to rise, because this is heaven. And the Muladhara root chakra, your bowels, are hell. It's your torso. Everything is about the sine wave and the double sine wave, or the torus field of your torso. It's what the Bible teaches. It's about your torso as the double sine wave, the torus field. So Josh, over to you.
Thank you. Vegetables are underground, and they're mostly for the animals. But the unfortunate thing is the animals have not been able to find these root vegetables anymore because of the state of the earth. If the earth was left to itself, the vegetables and the vines and all of these things work in synchronization with the fruits to replenish the soil and create a nitrogen balance. So they all work holistically with the creation, but they're not our food. They are very starchy and they're very dense. They're not very palatable as such, and most vegetables are cooked The word fruit itself, for you, it is phonetically heard within this, and anything that bears a seed continues life. Now, although the root vegetables allow the flower to grow, the flower produces a seed. This is not optimum nutrition for us, and they are toxic to us. They are made for short digestive systems, such as dogs. Now, dogs have been given meat, over a long period of time. But if we sit back and think what dogs actually like to eat, or foxes, should I say, they like berries, they like root vegetables. This is where they would dig naturally underground. But in a scarcity world where there isn't these things that drop flavorful in abundance, they've reverted to being predators or scavengers. So the whole cycle of man's illusion or delusion is to actually, they're perceived in this great downgrade of consciousness, and how we need to perceive is the holistic understanding of what it should be like and will be like, as long as we correct it with our consciousness. So if fruit was allowed to grow, drop, for an example, I'm going to just step back a sec. People think that you need to water trees. Naturally, you wouldn't need to water trees, not even in the hottest spaces. Trees produce their own shade, and they drop their own leaves, which creates a topsoil. And then they drop their fruits, which will sink into this topsoil, and that topsoil is a perfect medium for the seed to grow. Now, nighttime, daytime, there's a perfect balance of precipitation, which allows the water to come from underground aquifer systems that get pulled in by the trees. And then this allows water to just drop and sink. And these trees are forever fed in a proper manner. So if one's eating vegetables and one's, worried because they can't access all these things, I would say don't worry about things, because this is just creating an imbalance in your own physiology and psychology. But we're moving towards a space now where we are going to be interacting across seas, across waters, and creating a new system of awareness where we can experience and all celebrate in the fruit. Because right now, there's enough fruit in this earth that is, able to sustain life probably double or triple to the people that we have in it. The only unfortunate thing is most go off and are stored till they go bad, and they're not ripe and picked at a good time. But yeah, I'd say I think you need to follow up with a question, but fruit is the only source for us. And a lot of vegetables are toxic. Very, very toxic, but again, not as toxic as what most people have been consuming for the past 100 years.
Right. Wow. Great information. Thank you. So for someone who doesn't live year round in a climate where you have an abundance of fruit, like I'm in New York, and for 6 months out of the year, there's not a lot of variety, or at least that's local. And so would you suggest, I don't know, dare I say frozen organic fruit, or is that really, what do you suggest in that situation?
The best situation with fruit vegetables, I would say, would be to just juice them, to get rid of the insoluble fiber, and to juice them. And that way your body has a lighter chance of breaking it down. But knowing this, that our body only wants glucose, and fructose comes from the fruit, and sucrose is made in perfect balance with both of these. But the body only wants these simple sugars to digest. Anything further away causes the body acidity. So if we are consuming a vegetable, we're having acidity, which is death. So what we're trying to do in each instant is create this reciprocation of the body, so we don't need to age and we don't need ourselves to die. But know that every single cell is regenerated within 7 years. So it's about being conscious enough to perceive what we need to do for our own spiritual evolution, and to find ourselves moving towards where we need to be over that period of time. I feel like the world's going to a space where most people will be living in the temperate regions after this shift has happened, because people know logically that they need to be somewhere where they can grow their own food. New York itself is a capital city, and cities see it choice. It's a choice to live there. And you can't even see trees, it's all tower blocks and things like this. So relying on a corporation that has failed you over and over again is not something that you need to be doing consciously. But now you're having the perception, know that you're being guided by yourself, and it's just pushing you in a point where soon that it'll be time to go and grow away from commercial places and live in nature to raise your vibration further.
Well, luckily I did leave the city many years ago, and I do live in nature. I actually live out by the beach. I live 2 hours from the city. So I did get rid of that energy a long time ago. But yeah, I'd love to, actually, Mexico is one of my favorite places on the planet. So if I end up there one day, it wouldn't be so surprising. That's really helpful. So I have one more question kind of related to this in terms of making the transition and what's the best, I think, for the body. Because one of the things also that I'm learning is that, and I've also known this, that even if you're eating poisons and toxins, your body adjusts and get used to it and actually will continue to crave it. So it makes it that much more difficult when you're trying to eliminate certain things, because your body is going to just still want it. It adapts to, even if we continually give it a poison our entire lives, our bodies are going to adapt to it. So for someone who wants to make a transition, and like I said, been eating very clean for a long time, but I would like to get rid of, say, like the grains and a lot of the things that we've been talking about. What do you suggest is the best way in terms of time for the body to adjust to this? You know, I'm sure everyone is different, but is there somewhat of a guideline that you could suggest for that?
What, for eating, to try and find a transformation within the food?
To transition
from, say, like, you know, if someone's eating cooked grains, then they've been doing that because this is healthy, I'm getting, nutrients, or I'm eating salads every day with all these vegetables, but I really would like to go more and more to mostly fruit. It's going to be a little shock to the system initially. If I've been doing this many years.
I'm with you, Laura. I get it.
I'm sure I'm not alone in this.
Grains are really a slave food, and they've been mass produced because of the toxicity levels within them. Couple bit of Easter eggs here is that, people have been fed brown rice to be healthier than the white rice, but the reason why the white rice had its grain taken off is because it contains a lot more arsenic, and this is a heavy metal, which is a toxin and a poison in high doses. So truly, if you're eating rice, the best rice to eat would be the white rice, because it's allowing the grain to be separate, which contains more arsenic. So there's a reason why we've been doing it for centuries, but the modern industry has tried to push, the more poisonous foods on us. Toxins and poisons that are in our body, the only thing that's craving them truly is the hosts that are inside us. And all we need to do is quiet the host down with fruit, and then the cravings will leave. And naturally, we would naturally crave sweet things and juicy red apples or mangoes or papayas, and this is because it's our true source of food. So when we're hungry, our blood sugar feels like it drops if we're eating these foods, because that's the real food we need. And you can tell by the way that people consume that we're not really staying alive via food as such. If people can consume death, all it's doing is not allowed in the restructure of this physical body. But if we can consume fruit, maybe smoothies, it's very hard because you have to obviously be individualized, because you need to know what's available with you. But making things sweet, making things palatable, and creating dishes that you've been eating over your period of time with fruit is kind of simple, but it's hard to transition unless you have the guidance. So the recipe book that we're doing is definitely going to be out by the 1st of December, and it has many things in it. But for example, if you were looking for a curry that you've been eating with rice, the best thing to do would be to create a curry with like dates, ginger, black pepper, because I don't recommend onion, garlic, or chili, because they're stimulants to the nervous system and they cause a lot of issues within the body, and they are very poisonous. Maybe a mango, some tomatoes, some coriander. If you're looking for like an onion flavor, just put in some chives and an apple. You blend that with some lemon juice, and then you could utilize some carrots and put them in a food processor, blend them up, drop some coriander seeds in with some lemon juice and salt. Now you've got carrot rice, or you could do it with a cauliflower, for example. And then mainly stick your day to fruit. And I would recommend always rising on a juice, so an orange juice or an apple juice, or even if you were to extend a fast by water fasting, then have a juice, then have a smoothie, and then have your main dinner, which would probably consume, if you're transitioning, some vegetables. And then in the evening, try to finish off on a smoothie or a juice. You'll find the transition quite easily. and then get yourself around fruit, because to sit there in the rising and have 4 big papayas as a mono fruit is the most special experience you can have. And then if you understand logically, fruits usually have about 1 to 1.5 month cycles with the trees, unless they're citrus, that these trees will be dropping in abundance, and you're supposed to be eating with these trees just mono fruits the whole time. So for example, if it was a plum season, you should be sitting down to like 30, 40 plums at a time. And then when you can look at the plum and see that it's ripe, our body ferments. And this fermentation process, the bacteria inside the gut takes the vitamins and minerals out and feeds into the body. So anything that looks like it's going to ferment the quickest is the safest and easiest food for us to consume. Other things that do not ferment easy is what's causing the problems within the digestive system and the acidosis, if that makes sense. But if you want any help, just contact us and we can definitely help guide you through this transition.
Great.
You know, Laura, I cannot stress enough that that everything that we see in nature, which we would call the macrocosm, the larger world that we see out there, is exactly you on the inside. And that's why it's created that way, so that we're never in the dark. We're always within the light if we choose to see the light, which is, you know, to like just be basic and be as I see. So when you're in the moment, calm, not worrying, worry, like Josh says, are the war eyes, which is your left brain. And so when you are at peace of mind, then you can be as I see, basic. And so that's the beauty of the night sky teaching us what's going on inside of us. And that's the beauty of the mother, who is pure, and she's pure truth. And she's teaching you what's going on inside of you. So simply observe. And so in what Josh is saying, we are the 4 seasons. That's why we're the fourfold nature of man, the cross. That's why, you know, Jesus had to die upon the cross to rise up into heaven upon earth, because we're the fourfold nature of man. So observe the seasons and observe what is present. And as Josh says, you go with what is provided for you in abundance. So when it's mango season here in Mexico, and hopefully in the coming years, you'll you know, want to come join us here in Mexico, or with Josh in Portugal. And that's what you do. So when we're here in Mexico, we just go crazy with the mangoes and any and every way possible. And it's such a gift for those 2 months. And then there's always something else. And that's the incredible thing about Mexico. And that's anywhere between the tropics. That's the golden zone. There's always another tree that is providing something else. And there's a reason, because when they're produced is exactly what we need when we need it, right? This is intuition and telepathy. This is the higher mind. This is crossing over out of the physical body and the 5 physical senses into intuition 6 and telepathy 7, the crown. And that's where it's an instantaneous transfer of genius. Genie in the bottle is genius, and this is your bottle. Genius in the bottle when you live in the now, when you rise up out of the physical. So you observe and you just go, wow, that's right. It's at this time of the year. And so I eat. And so when you live in New York and there's 6 months when it's not at, New York grows the greatest apples. Some of the best apples I've ever tasted come out of the north of New York. Buy them in abundance, create a root cellar for you. Root to the mother, get to the root of the mother. That's the root of the truth. If you want the truth, get to the root of the truth. And in those root cellars in your home, you store all of these wintry fruits. Look at all the fruits that grow later in the season. And there's a reason. And so during the summertime, apples are not ripe in the summer because there's too much pulp in an apple. In the summertime, it's pure light. That is us in heaven upon earth. That is us at the highest point. So that's why, like Josh says, it's just all of those ripe fruits that are just juice, and it's light, 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 light. That's what the summer is. But now we're heading into the fall of man, and then we're getting ready for the resurrection of man. So that's where the root cellar comes in, and then it's apples, and they store so beautifully in a root cellar. They'll last beautifully into January, February, and March, and then other things will then miraculously provide themselves for you in the spring, and then this cycle just continues to flow. And so there's lots of things that you can do and observe, because the things that are produced in the late season, there's a reason. There's a reason for everything. And by the way, that's why we can have some of these heavier, like you rightly described as sort of death foods, again, looking at things like even beets. People just love beets and whatnot, but it is something to keep you in your body, when the answer is to leave the body, the realm, the temple of the body for the temple of the mind. And then you will unify the body. See, it's not to kill the body and then to just leave. And then it's like, oh, where did they go? And, please don't leave us, come back and help us. And that's the bodhisattva. The bodhisattva is the regenerated man. So you have to leave the body through crucifixion to get to the head, but then you go, oh, I get it, and I'm going to come back and teach it. And that's the bodhisattva. So it's just you heal here, and then you can heal here. But you have to get to here to heal here. And the only way you can get to here is to rise. And the rising is light. You have to be lighter than air. And so that's juicing fruits, like Josh said. It's just this basic. So for as long as you can, juice. And another great thing that Josh said about your 24-hour cycle of life is that this fasting is so key, right? At nighttime, we don't eat for a long period of time. And that's why break it to them gently is the break fast. So we're breaking a fast, break it to them gently, break it to the body gently. So in the morning, the subtle realms of the chakras and the caduceus, that's real health. So subtle in the morning, juice, light, and then prepare yourself for something heavier and do it earlier. This teaching us to eat dinner late is the worst thing we can do. And like Josh said, after you've had your afternoon heavier meal, then in the evening, if you want something light again, because you're preparing yourself for the fasting. And I'll leave you with this. Remember, what this is all about is that when you eat correctly and you breathe correctly, you do these basics, be as I see correctly, then what is left inside of you is Santa Claus. Santa Claus is real. Santa Claus exists, and he gifts you presents. And he has 3 presents that he uses: melatonin, serotonin, and dopamine. And those are right here in the third ventricle of your brain. And those only produce when you possess peace of mind, when you are the balance that you wish to be in this world. So by having the diet that Josh talks about, you are turning Santa Claus away from being the first responder at 9/11, putting out fires and cleaning up rubble, and you allow him to be the genius that Santa Claus is, which is this magical druid of the forest, and he is tending to your forest like Tom Bombadil in The Lord of the Rings. And that is gifting you long and eternal life. Let Santa do his job. That's the thing. We don't even know really what he's doing. Doesn't matter. Get out of your own way. Stop being your own worst enemy. Get out of your way and let God's creation do it for you. That's the incredible thing. We don't even need to really know what's happening. Just stop hurting ourselves. That's the key, Laura.
Create the alkaline balance. That's the key. If you have that balance, everything will be done for you. You will be guided by your consciousness. And remember, you're exactly where you need to be. So everything that you're thinking now, and you'll slowly progress towards things as you clear out the grains and these things, and then you'll be eating the beets, and then all of a sudden the beets won't be giving you what you need, and you'll start to feel discomfort. and naturally your body will progress. Because a long time ago I had to progress off these things like Be True and anything like that, because it just causes such discomfort, and it'll naturally progress within inside of you. So I wouldn't worry too much, but now you're perceiving and receiving the information that's going to progress you. If you action the knowledge, this will put you in a place of higher form and higher function.
And it's also, we get used to living with the discomfort. You know, people, it's like, oh, it's a normal to eat something, you have an upset stomach. Oh, just, so it's also just saying, no, listen to what your body's saying. If this feels heavy or this doesn't feel right, you probably shouldn't be having it.
Exactly.
So, thank
Very
you
good.
so much.
Great
You've
questions,
inspired me.
Laura.
You've inspired me so much, and I love all of you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much. Really well
Lovely to meet
articulated.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Great work, guys. And we've got Annette
She's
now coming in.
fantastic, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
Laura.
really well articulated questions. And we are welcoming Annette.
Powerful name, by the way. Look at that. Look
Oh,
at
we
the
have to
name.
explain her name for her. We can't see you though yet, Annette.
Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can sort that out.
Two N's, two E's, two T's, and it starts with the father in the beginning. Wow.
There she is.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nice to see you.
Welcome.
Good. Nice to meet you.
So Annette is a local, actually, to me, aren't you? You live down the road. We live down the road from one another. So
Yes, I do.
she contacted me with a subject matter and question. I was like, yes, got to get you on the show. So yeah, by all means, Annette, what is it you'd like to talk to the
fire
guys?
ahead. Yeah, I have a question surrounding our DNA and it being harvested from all of the testing that's being carried out. Now, I heard that obviously they're looking for this virus, but also they're looking out for specific DNA. So I was wondering, would this be to seek out individuals who have maybe a heightened level of awareness, consciousness? You know, is this even a possibility? And maybe you could confirm this if you know anything about it, and maybe expand more on the subject, because obviously we know what they're telling us they're testing for, but you know, why aren't they just taking swabs from our mouth, which is possibly a standard way that, you know, the authorities would test if you got pulled up by the police, for example, but to actually take a swab from both inside the mouth and right up high in the nasal cavity, you know, what they're actually testing for. And obviously they're going to be putting it on some sort of database, but it just got me thinking, this question about them looking for specific DNA, you know, what DNA properties are they looking for? You know, what human characteristics? Is there something that these people have got that they want, and how they're going to tap into that?
Yeah, you know, just mute your mic for a sec. And so, Annette, what this is all about is it's biblical. So everything is biblical, and it truly is. It's all biblical. So who these people are the Canaanites, and they are the few attempting to rule the many. And the few are those who live in the left hemisphere of the brain, and that's all they're looking for. So they're really not looking for much of anything. When they see heightened awareness, when they see magical properties and skills, they want to eliminate that right away. They want to get rid of that, and they don't want that to procreate. So that's why all of the work that they have done with sterilizing all of us, you know, don't kid yourselves. It's not one gender or race or anything. It's all of us, the children of Abel. They want to sterilize us. So if you go back to the Bible, what was Cain's plan? Cain's plan was to get rid of Abel, because Abel was the chosen son of God, and that it would be his bloodline that would be carried on in the cradle of civilization in the land of milk and honey, the promised land. And so the plan of Cain was to kill Abel, and then it was to kill Adam, and then it was to take Eve, and then it was to procreate with Eve, so that the Cain bloodline would be the only bloodline for mankind moving forward. And do you not see how this is everything that they do, right? This is everything that they have been doing, is this protection and procreation of the Canaanite bloodline. So when you look at all of these Hollywood stars like Ellen DeGeneres, who's a man, and Ellen DeGeneres' name is Edward Rockefeller. She's a Rockefeller, and her name is Ed. She's a guy, and so that's why they do what they do. It is to proliferate in the eyes of the many that there is this supremeness to the select group, and the select group are just these demons running amok, and that they are the Canaanites of the left hemisphere of the brain. And so that's it. So the why with the swabs and way up your nose is to create fear. The way you control Abel is because Abel is always rising with the sun every single morning. So the only way you can stop Abel from rising is either to kill him, or it is to keep him in a state of fear. And then that's the mother, the Kundalini, which is a coiled serpent at the base of our torso. And she's just hiding in absolute fear, and she will not uncoil until such time that we create peace of mind, the balance between these two worlds. And they won't allow it. And that explains everything they do. The news, the newspaper, politics, the world, wars, everything, money, the economic system of scarcity, everything is designed to keep you in fear. And that's all they want. And then the Georgia Guidestones are the ultimate completion of this plan, which is to sterilize a group of 500 million slaves to do the work, but don't let them procreate, so that only Cain can procreate. And then it's the children of Cain who are these left brain demons. Cain killed Abel, Cain ate Abel, and that's this world of the cannibals ruling over us. That's who they are. That's why they do what they do. That's why everything looks and functions the way they do. They're not really interested in examining what's up your nostril at all. They just don't want you to exist, and they don't want you to procreate. It's as simple as that.
I'd say if I had one thing to say to that, was it is a trap for awareness, just as you just said. It's another hole to take your conscious mind into, to create a vibration of fear. The strongest knowing is that you're separate from the corporation, and the corporation's just putting out the information there because the information traps minds in it. And there's so many micro boxes of information that we can get lost into. But the truth is that once you know who you are, and you're a woman or a man, you can sit here in peace because you're not a part of this business. And that business can do whatever it likes, because consciousness is progressing within us on an individual basis and as a collective basis. But who is at that level of vibration will be a part of that program, and it's for their own individual awakening or their own consciousness. But as you're starting to perceive it, just try not to get lost into these sections, because even though we are trying to protect ourselves and our family through fear, it also traps us, because truly we are free until we believe not to be.
Thank you. Yeah, it's quite good that you've taken that view on it, because obviously it's something that might come up, and with that in the background, it's a concern. It gives you a resistance, and because you want understanding, and with what else is being portrayed, this duality of it shakes your world a little bit. But obviously we've just got to have the belief and the fact that it's all in hand, and being awake to your inner knowing and your inner authenticity is going to get you through this, and not to worry too much about the detail because it's all being taken care of.
If you give in to the knowing that you have, because you know that you have the capacity and the power to not let someone stick these things in your mouth, then the vibration that sends out through this consciousness is going to put you in a situation that you never wanted to be in, because you allowed the empowerment of yourself to be dominated by an external source. So your own consciousness will project something else that you now have to overcome, which will be harder. So what I say is stand true to yourself and know that there's no one, unless you give them consent, that could ever do anything to you or your family in any single moment, whether you've created previous contracts or not. Because at any given moment, at any given time, you are here and now as the I am, all seeing, all observing. Another thing that synchronizes with that is all courts were dissolved in 2008 to business centers. So this stepped down the government to a level where it's just a public entity, just like anyone else who believes that they're personification and they are the identification. And they can't actually enforce anything. So just know that this is all a game being played with your awareness, and free yourself. And it's simple. You never need to worry about anything. And the more information that goes in, it has to be compopulated before it can go out. So the less that you put in, the more you will find.
Wonderful. Oh, I think you're still on mute. There we
Oh,
go.
yeah, no, thank you for clarifying that. That's very helpful.
Love and love to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Annette. Appreciate you coming on.
And Aloise, really quickly, so a little treat for Annette.
Her name,
Anne, yeah, Anne is always related to purity, so it is a very virtuous name. But if you look at the name Annette, you are Annette, and it really, because all of the letters are doubles beyond the A for alpha, and that's why it's at the beginning, because that's God, that's the Father, that's the One. So you came directly out of the Father, and then what are you? You're a net. And so all you ever need to do is cast thy net to the right, and you'll get back to the Father. And so remember, when you have double letters, it's always, because you have two eyes, it's there to tell you really need to see. So you really need to look hard at your letters. N-E-T, you, and I can just tell by looking at you and by feeling you, Annette, that you very much are Annette. You are Annette. I think much of your life you've been Annette, and you've been drudging up all of these different things. And that's the problem, is that society throws you crap and you're drudging up all of this crap. And so the net needs to open up and so when you cast it down, you're just going to get the Canaanite crap of the bottom, the ground or underground. And so now you need to take your net, open it up, and cast it up and to the right. Up and to the right is where heaven upon earth is. And then I guarantee you that, because that is your name, that's powerfully you, that's your essence, and you will ascend very quickly because you have it within you to do so. But you have to turn on a dime, and the dime is the left brain. You must turn on a dime and cast thy net to the right. And all that means, very simply, I use it a lot, but all that means is just be righteous in every moment. Make every decision, not out of worrying about anything. Not if this person needs $10, but it's my last $10, don't worry. In the act of giving, ye shall know receiving. So something amazing will happen to you when you give your last $10 to somebody else, because giving is receiving. And so that's, just be righteous in every moment, Annette, and your net will rise up and to the right. And then, oh my gosh, you will be pulling in to you the most incredible gifts instead of the crap of this world. And that's what they exist to do, Annette. It's to fill our nets with things we don't need. And that's what they've turned us into, these ridiculous consumers, and I need a TV and I need this and I need that. It's not true.
Mm.
Yeah, I know all about that. So thank you. That was, so thank you. That was very nice to get that vision, what you can see and to hear it. So yeah, no, lovely. Thank you.
Basically, trust yourself and you've got the answers.
Yeah, that's good.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Eloise.
All right, darling. Take care of yourself.
Yeah,
nice to see you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
All right, let me go. There we go. Excellent. Fantastic. Some great questions this evening. Really, really good.
And it's all been about fermentation, right? Like it really has. That what everyone is asking is about this process of firming up our existence, firming up our reality. And it starts because you have to do the work. You absolutely have to do the work. And like Josh says, you say it on every show as well, Eloise, the work is alchemical in nature. And look at these two words side by side. You can't have alchemy without alkaline, and you can't have alkaline without alchemy. They are one and the same. Alchemy is to become alkaline. And they're the same words, the same. CH is K. CH achieves the K. The child and the breath of God is the balance that we seek, which is the K, the master number 11. And you achieve that with the CH or the K. And so, yep, alchemy. Yeah.
You see, all see hemi, and hemi is the hemispheres that we have either side of our brain. And what we need to do is be able to see, to recognize and recognize to the right.
Are you teaching your 4-year-old this? Because I bet he's probably really good at it.
Yes.
He's stunning, Aloise. This is a stunning creation. And it's just so exciting to think what 2 more years would be like, or 5 more years would be like. And that's, see what you were saying earlier. Can you imagine if they were teaching exactly, Aloise? So everything will change quickly for all of us. Everyone who's listening into this, just trust in the plan, because the plan is God's plan. All natural creation is genius and brilliant. God's creation is the genie in the bottle. All we have to do is get out of our own way. That's the left brain. That's the tapeworm or the ego in the left brain. Get out of your own way. Take no thought for your life, said Jesus. And he literally meant it. Stop thinking that you can figure everything out. We don't. We never will. We'll never, ever, ever figure any of this out. It'll only get worse. The moment we take no thought is casting our net to the right, and it's trusting in God. And everything that God creates is this: genius in the bottle. Genie in the bottle is this. It's the third ventricle of the brain, which is you.
Yeah, well, one of my visions is to have a Dharma school, where you really teach kids from a young age, because messages come in 4 gateways. If you could tell a child that actually to stay on this right path of action, they just have to listen to their internal voice,
Yep.
And that guides us for the rest of our life. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that day.
Eloise, what kid would fight against you about killing animals? No, mommy, I want to take a stone and a stick and I want to beat that animal dead until it's bleeding on the ground. There's no kid in the world that wants to eat an animal or kill an animal. The only reason they participate in it is because parents go, well, if you don't, you're going to die. So you just sit there and you eat. Every child has that moment, that breaking. It's prison. And every child has that breaking moment where they sit you down there at the table and they go, you're not leaving this table until you eat that.
Well, that's also how all the shadow stuff happens as well, isn't it? Because, our control dramas and our patterns are, if we don't agree with the thought processes in our family, we have to push away those aspects of ourselves that aren't approved of or given love in our family. And so those things that we don't agree with, we just have, if our family is going the other way, then we have to ignore them because it's not the done thing in our family. So that goes into our shadow aspect.
And Aloise, like Why do children fear what's under the bed and the boogeyman, or what's in the closet at nighttime? It's like they have made this a main narrative in their books, in their movies, in their TV shows. They're teaching you that this is like normal. It's like, that is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of. I never had those problems as a kid. I never once thought that there's someone in the closet or something underneath the bed. That's insane. That's insane. Why do kids have this? Because kids are pushed and pushed and pushed into becoming little devils, and they're not. They're little angels, and it takes an enormous amount of work to push these beautiful kids. And so what I just wanted to point home is this: children are the perfect receptacles to God's teaching and to the mother's teaching, because they are in that frame of mind. All they want to do is like, you know, grab a carrot out of the ground, or grab an apple off the tree, because that's all they have time for, because they are so excited about the next thing to learn, the next thing to do. We don't do that. We don't do anything. There's no learning in a life of working at a job. It's just the repetition. And all these jobs are very unrighteous in nature, taking money off of people, lying to people. All kids do is learn. When we become an adult, all we do is stop learning. Sorry, but that is the absolute truth, my friends. Children are the answer in this reality. They are the ones that will lead us. And animals are children. Remember what I was saying to you about cats and dogs. Look at your cats and dogs. There's a reason dogs are in your face and they lick your face. Look at their eyes, because it's a mirror image. And the mirror of dog is God. And what do dogs do? They love you unconditionally in the moment. And cats have 9 lives, and they jump upon high. They go high. Everywhere they do is they go high. Observe. Become the observer. Don't go to work. Josh and I did a podcast about maritime admiralty law, and Josh just said the most brilliant thing. The job is, and Josh took the sort of the ancient meaning. That's right. The ancient meaning of the word job is to own you, control you, to break you down. And the moment you go to a job, you've lost this game. Don't ever go to a job. Don't ever do work. Don't ever, 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 ever do that. Just start learning with the mother. Just start learning again. And I promise you, God and the mother will provide you everything you need. You'll never go without again.
The people are keeping the system in power, and everybody can work together to be able to get themselves to a space where they need not go to work. Work is paper pushing, but job does mean persecution. In Hebrew, it is to be persecuted. So if you're going to choose to work, which is war with decay, war with the balance, you will be persecuted and you will not find this space. All people need to do is to throw out the money changers. These money changers have been keeping an illusion over mankind through fear. But if one can step up and rise above this fear and see the only thing that actually is needed is a shelter and food, the creation creates the food and you can create the shelter. And within that, then you can progress consciously. But until man has done that, they're going to find themselves in a cycle of death via the left brain thoughts, because one can only truly free themselves when their environment, their externalized environment, matches their internalized environment. As above, so below.
Shadow work.
This is where we go. And with the children learn by observing. And as we should always learn by observing, because if we don't and we read, we get confused because we haven't had the physical experience to match with the mental. Now, I say this often. To observe a tree is to know a mountain is a tree, and to observe a mountain is to know it was a tree. Now, unless you can observe a mountain, be close with it, and observe the structure of the trees. Trees have been cut, they separate, they create these hexagonal shapes. And then when a tree or a bark has been exposed to sunlight, it cracks in these shapes also. So you can observe mountains, you can observe trees draw up water, mountains do too. But it's not just those observations, but to be able to observe this is to be able to prove to your inner self that these things here are trees. And it's the same with all walks of life. if you learn from a book or a textbook, you'll never truly know. You will only have thoughts, but then those thoughts need to synchronize with your life experiences to become wisdom. So one should truly do the work and walk, because unless you do this walking, you'll never find this space. You must leave the money changers, leave the busyness. And I wanted to say one thing that I just remembered from earlier, when you were speaking about the crackle, is it?
Kraken.
The Kraken. Release the Kraken.
Right. If you can go back, and if you haven't watched it, it's been a long time since I watched anything, maybe 6 years, but I was advised myself to watch the Lego movie. Now, the Lego movie is the El Ego movie, and this is the perpetual idiocy of what's going on now within the world of work and busyness. Now, the devil is Lord Business, and this is busyness. And they knock down houses and rebuild them. They say that the meat and dairy industry, so the guy's this. Anyway, he's about to release the Craggle, and this Craggle glues everybody down. And his job was to stop the Craggle or find the solution that releases this Craggle. So if you look into that and you see the synchronicities with the busyness world and the Craggle, to free the Craggle is to free the people from being stuck. Now, I always like to say at the end of it that consciousness still needs to be guided if it's not free. And what people will be going into is a higher, freer form of a capacity to live. So it's still important that you free yourself. You need to free yourself and find yourself. And in doing so, know the self. And when you know the self, you will know that you're free. And every single part of your being can then become one with the divine. And when you're one with the divine, you are truly free. So don't get stuck in the material or business world. It is not the truth. You are the truth. And we are the truth. And the truth can begin by going back to some land, planting some trees, and then the rest will just naturally form.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The be as I see. And Alois, I'll leave my contribution to the show today with this, basically this dualistic understanding of the word hijack. Who hijacks? Pirates hijacked. Who are the Phoenicians? They are the pirates of the high seas. And when they came to the land, they became the pirates of the land. And those are bankers. And the banking system does the exact same, it's extortion, just as pirates of the high seas are. And what they've done is they've hijacked our ride. Now you need to look at this word, very important that you need to, because it tells you what you are and why they do what they do in that word. High is high. They hijack you because you are Abel. You are the children of Abel and you are high. You are of the tribe of Judah, the lion in the east with the rising sun. And Jack is like as a prince. Jack is a term for that we're all princes, which is the child trying to become a king. And so we are royalty. All of us are royalty as we go on this royal journey within, from the Jack to the king. And a Jack and Jill went up the hill and Jack fell down and broke his crown. Jack, which is a prince, wears a crown, high crown. High Jack is high crown. The whole purpose of what they do is to hijack your high crown. Where are we in our truth? Like most of us look back when we're about to die and we go, this has been a fraud. My entire life has been a fraud. When did the hijacking occur? When you're a child. When you are a child, you are in perfect alignment with the father and the mother, and you can grow as tall as what do they say with kids? If they kept growing at the rate that they grow, children would be the size of telephone poles. What are we finding in the ground when we go back to areas that are not populated by man today? And they find these fossils or these bones of man that are huge. People are like 20 feet tall because they are killing us. They are suppressing us on purpose to stop us from being these giants of the mind and the body. So it's the hijacking. So where does it all go to hell upon earth? When we are children. And that's everything that they do is designed to stop you from leading an authentic life. Josh, Josh's son is leading an authentic life, and he can literally become a 20-foot tall giant of a man by the path, the gift that Josh and Michelle have given their son, and the journey and the path that he's on. We can do this to ourselves, and then we can gift this to our children. We can gift this to everybody's children. All you ever need to do is be free. Trust in God. And the mother, the father and the mother. There is no higher form of truth. There is no more greater love anywhere. That's it. The moment that you go send your kids to school, you are killing them. The moment that you stop breastfeeding them and you put them on some formula, you're killing them. The moment that you start feeding them Rice Krispies or I can't remember all these different, this stuff for breakfast, you're killing them. You're killing them. You're killing them. The mother and the father give everything you need. Take it and run with it in abundance. Everything you need is natural. Don't ever process anything for your kids. Just let them be natural of the father and the mother. This is where the hijacking occurs, because the hijack is the high prince, and that's the child. And they know this. That's why they hate children. That's why they rape children. That's why they kill children. That's why they eat children. That's why they torture children. It's why they do everything, because they hate children, because children are the antithesis to the Canaanites. The Canaanites are the fallen man. They are as low on the killing floor as you can go. Children are as high and to the right as you can get. That's why they hate, because they are looking in a mirror every time. That's right. These demons look at children. They go, oh, I hate you because you're showing me what I am, which is disgusting and vile, and they're violet. That's the answer, and that's the way. Get out of cities. Trust in God, trust in you, trust in your children, and let them lead the way. I will prophesize this, and I know that I'm right. In the future, children and animals are going to lead the way. There is so much wisdom in an animal. There is so much wisdom in a child, and we need to learn from them. We don't restrict them, and we don't punish them. We just learn from them. They are the light of the world, because they truly see from here, not from here.
Amen. Beautiful. So always a pleasure, both of you. Thank you, gentlemen. Loved having you here. Just incredible evening, incredible wisdom, incredible gnosis. So it's the 23rd of November. I know we've got the juice fast coming up on Josh's side. That's been announced now, hasn't it, Josh? So people can go to your channel and they can get more details. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We decided to keep it to our Patreon. And we have a video just put out yesterday to help people guide. It's a 30-minute video that's going to help people align with it and give a lot of questions that have been answered. And then we are looking forward to doing a 21st of December chat between us three with wonderful guests, musicians, artists, and speakers to bring in the wonderful solstice and the powerful energy going
21st,
which we'll be advertising soon once we have everything sorted. But it is going to be a wonderful night, and we hope people can join us there. And yeah, just make sure that you can always remain present in every situation, because this is when we're taken from the truth. So remain present, be the observer, observe your life, because if you do, you will find peace and knowingness. Nature needs to guide us all, and we need to go back there. So please start taking the necessary steps that you need to do to find yourself in a warm, temperate climate, working with nature, because nature works for you.
Excellent. And the best way to find Josh is his Patreon community. We'll put the details in the show notes below, and you can become part of that Patreon community for as little as, how much is it a month? £30. £3 a month.
Yeah.
Wow, giving it away.
And also Josh X on
YouTube
and at xl.fam Instagram is run by my partner Michelle, and we share recipes and life pictures and the holistic understandings to consciousness and things like this.
Excellent. Well, we have all of those details in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Josh. And Charlie, what's on the horizon for you?
Same old, and just remember FreakSense TV. It really like Colleen and I, we just look, we literally look at FreakSense TV and we just go, how did we do this? Like the journey has been divinely guided, and it's a great place to go, because what's there is are the teachings of Josh personified in a video, and it's really a beautiful sight, and the work speaks for itself, and it's all there for you. It's all there. There's so much stuff. You'll never get through it all. You'll never finish it. You'll never get bored of it, and it's a gift. And it is. I think it's the only reason it's still standing is because there are some higher forces at work to protect. When you create the truth, then there will be some magic involved. So
fantastic. And we'll have all of Charlie's details as well in the show notes about how you can contact him and support the animal shelter. And just to give you the heads up, I am going to be opening my Dharmalife Academy community at the end of January. We're going to be doing an Unlock Your Abundance program. And it's all about stepping out of poverty consciousness. Humanity's been kept in poverty consciousness, in materialism and consumerism. And actually, we really need to understand that abundance is having the means to do what we need to do when we need to do it. And actually, when we have the courage and faith to step into our divinity, into this right path of action, we are supported, we are guided, and we are going to be doing some abundance bingo and a little challenge. It's going to be great fun. And it's a fantastic way to raise your vibration and unblock your money blocks. So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you all joining us. We'll be back next week, same time. It might be 6 o'clock. It could be 15:15. Who knows? I'm just surrendering to it. And we're going to go with the flow. But if you have questions, you can email info@aloise.life. Please share this video. So appreciate you all. And we will see you next week.